Welcome to the Growth Whisperers Podcast, where everything we talk about is related to building enduring great companies. Companies that scale and improve and get stronger as they get bigger over time. That's what Brad and I are passionate about, and we'll always be sharing something related to that theme. I'm Kevin Lawrence, here with my co-host Brad Giles. Well, not here, he's down under. I'm here up in Canada. And Brad, how you doing today?
Lovely. Very good. I tell you what, I'm so glad that this summer is over. It has been the hottest summer ever in where I live, and I'm delighted that autumn is now with us. So excellent.
Well,
On
and
top of
I'm
the world.
glad that our winter is over because summer is coming here. And I will tell you, interestingly, last summer that we had here in Western Canada was the hottest summer. I think we set some records, and hottest summer I ever remember in my life. It was incredibly hot, but I'm actually looking forward to some of that heat. Awesome. So, what's your word of the day today, Brad?
You don't, you're going to be surprised at this one, smoking. So, um,
You're
the
taking up a
thing,
new habit.
yeah, no. We are talking about habits today, but
Yes.
a habit that people sometimes take up and would like to quit is smoking, right? So smoking is a great uh, analogy for the work that we do about trying to get things to stick. So, the reason that I say smoking is because when you want to give up smoking, they say the more times you try to give up smoking, the better the chance is that you will give up smoking. And so you try to think about all of the things that we know about building a great enduring business. You can't do them all at once. And the more times that you try to get any one of those things to stick, the better chance you have of getting that habit to stick. So smoking, giving up smoking, keep trying.
Awesome.
Keep trying.
Love it.
What's yours, Kev?
Mine is Disney and the wonderful world of Disney, happiest place on earth. My daughter and I went down to LA this week and spent a few days down in Disney and Los Angeles and just constantly reminded how amazing companies create amazing environments, which lead to amazing experiences. And right down to the thing with their app that allows you to, pay some more money and beat lines or pre-book rides. But they have like professional photographers everywhere, and they used to sell you the pictures, but now if you buy the app, you got professional photographers everywhere. They take these amazing pictures, and they download them onto your app, and you can have them for free. Now you can buy products and services, but just how a company has taken and created an experience. Obviously, the place was packed. That is just every little detail is so good, and you just can't. Even though it's insanely massive crowds, you can't come away not feeling great no matter what. And it's just, Disney and the magic of creating amazing environments. So we could say that Disney would be magical at creating amazing environments, and maybe they could even help you quit smoking. Maybe they could design a stop smoking program. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know many things, and I definitely don't know that.
No, me neither. All right. So what are we digging into today, Brad?
Well, habits. The habits that successful leaders use to prepare each week. See, you and I, many, many years ago, came across a book called Mastering the Rockefeller Habits.
Yep.
Great book. Recommend that everybody read it. And it talks about habits rather than best practices. We spoke a couple of episodes about your favorite subject of best practices,
Yep.
but I think that was episode 103, 102. Um, and so what are the habits that successful leaders have to set themselves up for a successful week? Now, you've got a bit of an insight, I believe, on this. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm just searching through. So my team came up with these cards called coachagories, which are, meeting starter cards for people to get to know each other. Because often we drop right into a meeting and we've got questions in there as, what is the biggest hiring mistake, or one that you've witnessed, or who's your greatest mentor, and what is the best leadership book? Are you an Adidas or a Nike person, right? Whatever it have, Mac or PC, just things to get people going. So I was in some meetings recently, and one of the cards I was playing with, I'm trying to find it right now, I can't, is asking people about what they do to prepare for their week. And it's interesting, and I did it with a few different executive teams, and the similarity was shocking. And I did it, with one in India and one in Canada and one in the US, and the ideas were so similar it wasn't funny. And and everyone had some of their own thoughts, but I sat back and thought about it, and I went, yeah, of course it is. Because high performance requires preparation. Right? Success is when preparation meets opportunity, and you have to be prepared. You can't just show up and hope and pray. It doesn't work. And if we look at our, people are generally very organized and very prepared. So, from that, and then Brad, you and I talked about it, and you had also seen very, very similar patterns. So that's what we're kind of digging into here today. And, preparation is critical. And there's one of my favorite quotes from Sun Tzu, the author of The Art of War. If you haven't read The Art of War, it's a spectacular book. It's mandatory reading in many business programs. But Sun Tzu says, victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. And that's, the best leaders have already thought things through. They've got plan A, B, C, D, and they will prevail no matter what because they are prepared.
But that's what we're talking about today. Prepare.
What's that?
Someone might say, but I'm too busy to prepare.
That's right, because you didn't prepare last week and you're still trying to clean up the mess you made.
Yes, yes, that's the one. That's the one. Our poor audio producer just had a fit when he heard that noise.
I know. Hey,
look, you've got to prepare. You've got to prepare. I mean,
only if you want to be successful, Brad. You don't have to prepare if you want to be mediocre. You can just go with the flow and see what happens.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And sometimes in life, not being prepared and just going with the flow can be great. It can be relaxing, and you can wander because you don't have to achieve anything. On vacation, it's a wonderful thing to do sometimes. Just see what happens. Not when there's a job to be done. Not when there's customers involved or team members involved.
Once earlier in this episode, we spoke about the smoking analogy, right? Just keep trying. But there's a painting analogy that I love here, which is if you've ever been able to paint your own room or your own house or apartment, you would know that everything is about the preparation. It's like 80% of work in painting is about the preparation. And then applying the paint is really a very small job, in fact.
Right. And same in construction. There's a saying of measure twice, cut once. Double check that you've got the measurements right. The cut's not that hard to do. Doing the right cut is hard. So we could throw out all kinds of good examples and metaphors, but what we're saying is the same thing. So we've got a list here today of 6 different themes that we have seen not just in my recent conversations, but in the executives and leaders that we've worked with, the most successful ones, the ones we pay attention to, and what they do. And the first thing that we saw in common with these people of how they set themselves up for a great week, aside from the fact they all had a routine, is I'm sure every single one, 90% at least, said that they made a list of their most important things they needed to do. And, in my world, from your oxygen mask first, we break it down into work, self, and life. Some people broke it down into work and life, or work and personal and family, however you carve up your list, it doesn't matter. But in all the areas that are important to you, breaking down the most important stuff you got to do. It's not rocket science, but everybody said the same thing.
Yeah, and that is quite interesting. So when we run a quarterly or an annual offsite workshop, what you're going to come away with is the most important priorities for the company and the most important priorities for the individual or the department. And therefore, it gives you the prioritization for the next 13 weeks or quarter. And what we're saying here is that people, the most successful leaders that we come across, are doing that on a weekly basis, individually, personally, preparing so that they're able to set themselves up for success. So they're focusing on the things that are important and not urgent. Because if you don't prepare yourself for the week by focusing and allocating time and energy to the important and not urgent things, you're going to end up on focusing your time during the week on the not important things, on the
Yes,
things that
because
aren't
the
as
not
important.
important are non-stop. There's always something more interesting to do. There's always a fire. There's always drama. There's always a problem. But those things generally aren't on the top of your priority list. But we get sucked into those if you don't have a solid plan that you're pursuing or chasing. So absolutely, and that's why you need this list so you can prioritize and get clear on the stuff that has to happen. And Brad, as you said, in the companies that we work with, and we are encouraging companies to have their work goals, also for people to have their own personal resilience goal and their growth goal alongside their work goals. Some in our time, we even have our most important life goal. So we got the holistic goal set there for people to be focused on. And again, this is an activity of going back to that, breaking it down for the week. And of course, many of these people also do the same thing on a daily basis after that, sometimes hourly, but on a daily basis, breaking it down further. So make a list of all the most important things. And the second thing is to prioritize the top few. Like, what are the ones that absolutely matter most? Like, I don't know about you. I've always got more things to do than it's possible to get done. But I generally, in my plan for work, self, and life, will make a list of the top 3 for work, top 3 for self, top 3 for life. I'll do it for the week, and I do the same thing every day. Most days, I do the same thing to make sure that the high value or high impact things get done, and the lower stuff that can be left gets left.
Yeah, there's a simple tool that I use which applies to a daily or a weekly, and that is, what are the things that absolutely must be done today? What are the things that must be done in the next few days? And what are the things that can be done someday? And it forces you to the habit of prioritization, because you can't have 100 things that must be done today. So then I frame today as being physical or financial harm. For example, if I don't pay this bill today, we will incur an interest debt. So it must be done. It must be paid today. If I don't complete this task today, we might lose the client, or we might not win the job, that type of thing. So it really helps to reframe and prioritize around the important things.
Yeah. And for me, I just have a simple post. I'm already building mine for this coming week. But a simple post-it note to start jotting it down, and then I'll break it down into 3 columns with the highest priority ones at the top. Anyways, not rocket science. The other thing is that I throw into this, and from a priority in terms of energy, is in my book, Your Oxygen Mask First, there's this thing called toads. They're things that you procrastinate and put off because you don't want to deal with them, and they generally carry a massive mental burden with them. So my recommendation for people as you get to the daily version is, what's the toad? What's the thing you don't want to do but you know has to get done, and have that as number 1 on the list. Get it done first. Never mind, it'll give you a boost of energy and take the burden off your brain. It also gives you great momentum for the rest of the day because you're not thinking about it. So that gets down into the daily version of it. The key is just to know what is most important. So that's number 2. Prioritize the top few that matter most. Go ahead, Brad.
So number 3, it makes me think about one of the most successful business thinkers of the last century, which is Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker's most successful book was The Effective Executive. And on page 1 of The Effective Executive, he said that the job of a manager is to be efficient, and the job of an executive, someone who is in control of their time, is to be effective.
Be effective, yes.
So if we think about those people who are executives or are who are in charge of their own time, that's when we think, all right, so we need to, or they need to, review their calendar so that the top priorities can get done. And we're asking here, are they effective? How effective are people around us?
Yes, and they're driving effectiveness. They've got the priority list, and they got to make sure that it gets done in the calendar. The other thing with that effective filter on it, I like that, Brad. That's a great reminder. Thank you. Is to make sure that the meetings that they are scheduled for the week, one, that they're needed. Two, it's clear on what the meeting is and stuff, like there's an outcome that's been defined and there's agenda, or that even that they're prepared. But basically, that what they're going to do in this week is of high value and they will be able to bring value to those things. The other critical thing when people are reviewing and setting up their calendars is having time for the non-tactical stuff, the thinking, strategizing, brainstorming, high-level problem solving, or deep work. Going back to that great book, Deep Work, of really, when are they going to have time to do that stuff? If you don't block it into your calendar during the week, it often needs to happen in the evenings or the weekends, or it doesn't happen. So how do you carve out time? And in some case, the right thought partners for that. No matter what, looking at the calendar based on my priorities, does my calendar match my priorities? And if not, how do I adjust or tweak my calendar to make it consistent with my priorities for the week and the month and the quarter?
So Deep Work was a book by a guy called Cal Newport. I'm a huge fan of it. If you are enacting what Kevin is talking about here, in your calendar, you may have, for example, an appointment that says something like preparation time for meeting with Sue tomorrow. And you've got a calendar invite blocked out. You need to spend that time preparing.
As I was going through and doing some preparation for this coming week, because it's Sunday night here in Canada, I blocked out 2 hours tomorrow to work on a very important project that needs to get done by the end of the month. It's stuck on one point that I need to be involved in, and myself and another team member have 2 hours just to lock in and get it done tomorrow. We had to move some things around in the calendar to make room for it with other people, so that now we can go and just crush it tomorrow. Otherwise, it's not urgent, although it is very important, and it won't get done for weeks if we don't crush it tomorrow.
And some people even take that as far, leading into the next point, to allocate time for email processing. So they might say, I'm going to have 25 minutes or 20 minutes in the morning and then 25 minutes in the afternoon where I'm going to process emails and focus on doing the other work outside of that.
Yep. So that was point number 3 about going and looking at their calendars to make sure it matches the priorities. 4 is to already activate very important priorities now. Setting meetings, changing meetings, asking for information about meetings, sending emails for people for information that you need to share or get, delegating work or projects to other people. And again, lots of people will do this, and we'll talk about when in a moment. But the idea is to already activate the critical stuff so the week is already started before you get into your week.
Yeah.
Number 5 is personal habits. Everyone's got their own things that they need to do, just like the rock stars. Some of them just like green M&Ms. Whatever your thing is, it's personal habits. And I've heard executives say lots of things. Like one we're chatting with, and I remember this because we'd had just a great Sunday night dinner party games night, and I was hurting a little bit on a Monday morning. Had a little bit too fun on a Sunday night. And one of the executives said he stopped drinking on Sunday nights. He enjoys his beers and beverages, but he said, I stopped drinking on Sundays so I could be fresh and ready to hit the road solid on Monday morning. Some people need to organize their house. Some people need to make their meal plans for the week. Some people need to sort their office. Some people need to pack their bag if they're traveling for the week, or pick out their clothes for the week, or make their date night dinner and movie plans, or whatever that happens to be. Make sure they've got the time set aside for their kids, their activities. Maybe they pick their running routes. Everyone's got their own things they need to do, but there's a bunch of those things to set the person up themselves to be successful just outside of the tasks and work things that they need to do.
Otherwise, those things will creep into your work time. So you need to prepare and plan for those personal things.
Absolutely. So that's number 5, personal habits. Everyone's got their own different things. And then the 6 is like, well, when the heck do people do this so consistently? And in the West, we work a Monday to Friday week generally for office-based people. And other places like India, it'll be Monday to Saturday for a lot, or most Saturdays. In Middle East, it used to be actually interesting, Sunday to Thursday, but some of the countries have now switched to Monday to Friday. But basically, it's the day before or the night before. I've heard people doing commonly Sunday morning or Sunday evening is the most cited times when people do this prep for the week. Some do it Monday mornings, but what people have said consistently, if they leave it to Monday morning, odds are something happens and it throws their week off and then they don't get to do it. So we're not recommending everybody should work on the weekend. We need downtime for sure. It's just common for a lot of the highest performers that we work with that's a time frame they often do this before they step into Monday morning.
Of course, I'm going to be the outlier here and do something completely different outside of the norm. Yeah, so I prepare on a Friday night or a Friday evening, afternoon, or Saturday morning, because I find that means that if I'm prepared for the next week, I can kind of shut off from work and then really be able to enjoy my weekend or not think about it. And then Sunday night is mine, let's say. But then I'm all prepared and ready to go and just start up. So I find for me, it's a good way to close out the week, preparing for the next week.
Actually, I've heard a few people say that, but you're right, Brad, because you can psychologically close the week and be set up for the next week, and you're not feeling like you need to be thinking about getting prepared. It's already there. Excellent. Again, it's a personal choice. What works for you?
Awesome. And so an interesting chat today. Really, this is just something that we've observed. Being prepared as a leader gives you the best chance of becoming more effective this week. So as we quickly cycle through to close out, the effectiveness of a leader's week is dependent on their preparation. If you want to have a great week, you've got to have a good amount of preparation. Kevin, as he said, he'd been surveying in an informal manner many leaders and found that everyone was kind of preparing in a similar way, and it's the preparation that matters. So make a list of things that are important but are not urgent for the coming week, things that you need to focus on in the business to be able to set yourself up for the week. So make that list to begin with, prioritize them from most to least important. Review calendars to ensure that people around you are also working on the most important things. Kevin, would you like to move on to number 4?
Yeah, and also with your own calendar review to make sure that it matches your priorities and you're not going down a completely different track than what's most important. And then take proactive actions to kick it off the week, sending emails, meeting invites, asking for clarifications so you're ready to roll. And then there's some personal habits that just set you up for the week, and whether you need to pack your bag, organize your house, drink or not drink, spend time with friends, pick your clothes out, pick your running route, who knows, whatever it happens to be. And then finally, it's about when you do it. Lots of people in the West seem to do it on Sunday morning or Sunday evening. Brad talked about Friday afternoon, which is even ultimate. If you can get it done at the end of the day Friday, because you could close your week off and then be free of needing to think about it until you fire it back up again. Point is, whatever works for you, how do you dedicate that half an hour or hour that you need to really get ahead of your week? And as Sun Tzu said, victorious warriors win first and then go to war. And the week can feel like a war, a nice version of a war anyways. and that you want to make sure that you are more than well prepared so you can lead your week and not have your week leading you.
Awesome. Good chat, Kev. So my name is Brad Giles. You can find me at evolutionpartners.com.au. And Kevin Lawrence is available at lawrenceandco.com. I've got a newsletter. Kev's got a newsletter. they're both pretty good. Maybe interesting for you about a whole range of different and interesting topics to build an enduring great business. You can also find us on YouTube. If you just search the Growth Whisperers on YouTube, you're more than sure to come across us. Thanks for your time today. Hope you've enjoyed today's episode and look forward to chatting to you next week. Have a great week.
Have a great one.